was St. Nicholas. Notice he's a bishop. He's got the martyr on, he's got the big beard, he's got the robe. He was the bishop of Myra, way back in the 4th century. He was actually at the Council of Nicaea, all right, that condemned Arianism. He actually slapped him in the face. Now, he came into an inheritance. So he was rather wealthy, but he was concerned with the poor. You want to know how Santa Claus came about? We're going to tell you. A man lost all his money, and his 3 daughters could not find husbands because back then there was no dowry, there was no money for them, nobody wanted to marry them because they were in extreme poverty. So in despair, this wretched father was going to sell his own daughters into prostitution. Can you imagine? And so Nicholas heard this. Now he's just a bishop. So he took a bag of gold and he went to the house and he threw the bag of gold into the window. Tradition says it landed in the family shoes. The shoes and the socks that were laid out drying near the fire. And so the tradition is that he threw this gold in the window and it landed in these shoes where the shoes and the socks were being dried. And so the gold that landed there helped the father. This is why now children leave their shoes in the stockings on the fireplace, because they hang them by the fireplace in the hopes that they too will receive a gift on the eve of that feast. This is interesting. So St. Nicholas brought this, and he's associated with Christmas because of the tradition that he gave secret gifts to children. This is very interesting. Now, it's also thought that the saint who was known to wear red robes, as we just saw, right, had a long white beard. Kind of get the picture of Santa Claus coming up here? And they said that he was basically culturally converted into a large man with a reindeer sled full of toys, because in German, his name was San Nicolas. Saint Nicholas, San Nicolas. And that, when you say it, San Nicolas sounds like Santa Claus. So it almost sounds like Santa Claus. Now, the Dutch settlers in the New World, New Amsterdam, New York, also adopted this custom. And they converted it into the Nordic magician Sinterklaas. It sounded just like it in the German. So St. Nicholas, or Sint Claus, became Santa Claus. This is who we celebrate, a Catholic saint. That's why the Puritans wanted nothing to do with Christmas and Santa Claus, because we can't honor a saint. Santa Claus was a Catholic saint. I bet you didn't know that. He died on December the 6th, 346. And so we celebrate December the 6th in Europe as the big gift-giving day. We have an employee that works for us, Kathy, I call her Kashu. She's from Poland. And we always tease each other because the big day of giving gifts is not December 25th, it's December the 6th. That's the big day. So St. Nicholas is the reason. He's the patron of children and of sailors. And his intercession is sought by shipwrecked sailors. If you ever get shipwrecked, pray to St. Nicholas. And by those in difficult economic circumstances, so if you've lost your job, pray to St. Nick. And those affected by fires, so pray to St. Nick. So throughout most of church history, Christians did not give gifts on December 25th. They gave them on December the 6th. Instead, what did they do on the 25th? What was the big thing on the 25th? Not giving gifts. It was the Mass. Remember? This was dedicated day to Christ's birth, Christ Mass, Christmas. So gifts would be given on the 6th of December, the feast day of the 4th century Bishop St. Nicholas. Now, let's go back to those Protestant reformers that I told you didn't like Christmas because it was based on a Catholic saint. Why did they reject the Christian or the Christmas season? Because they rejected venerations of saints. So they had to reject St. Nicholas because this was a Catholic saint. They abolished the use of the whole liturgical calendar, I should say, that celebrated Santa Claus, St. Nicholas. Even Washington Irving in 1809 described this and used Santa Claus. Now, the rest of what we associate with Santa Claus comes from different areas. You know that poem, The Night Before Christmas? 'Twas the Night Before Christmas? That came from an 1823 poem called A Visit from St. Nicholas, Catholic saint. But here's the big one I bet you didn't know. You know the image that we have of Santa Claus right now, the big red jolly with the hat and the big red beard and the ho, ho, ho? You know where that comes from? Coca-Cola. Look at our next slide. Coca-Cola advertisements ingrained in the American consciousness the image of a red and white robed, jolly, white bearded man with the goal of getting people to drink more soda in the winter. Because their sales were real high in the summer. Makes sense. It's hot, I want a cool drink. But nobody drinks soda in the winter. So the masterminds at Coca-Cola 100 years ago or more thought of this great idea that we're going to take this Santa Claus and we're going to form him in a picture. It's kind of like a Norman Rockwell painting. And we're going to have him drinking Coca-Cola. It skyrocketed. One of the great first advertising campaigns was Santa drinking Coca-Cola. That's how we have that image of him today. Kind of sad. What do? Well, we introduce them to the tradition. The people like St. Nicholas tell them to help keep Christ in Christmas because unlike Santa, they actually exist